How is it going, you lovely lot? Welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm afraid there is no Tokyo Rising episode, but that's because I'm going to show you guys how you can fire up your own Japanese Football Manager adventure. Now, of course, by default in Football Manager, we have from J1 down to J3 active as of FM24. Using the mod and all the different files I'm going to show you guys today, not only do you get all the lower leagues of Japan added, and stuff like the university and high school systems in Japan simulated as well, but there's also the updated Champions League format for Asia and the two corresponding kind of lower down Asian competitions. And on top of that, in conjunction with a load of other databases that have been included as part of this bundle made by other people, shout out to them, we have a load of other leagues active that are really going to flesh out any kind of Asian Football Manager save game. And I should point out that it does go beyond simply making the database active, because we have for JFL, which is the league below J3, which is the league playable in Football Manager, stadium pictures, kit packs, and a whole lot else for every single club in the game. This is really, really cool, and all of these files are available as part of the download linked down below. I'm going to show you guys how to get this up and running today. I will warn you now, it's not the most simple of things. I encourage you to follow the video closely, or alternatively, if you don't like following videos, there is also install instructions down in the downloaded file. Anyway, without further ado, we're going to hop out of Football Manager. I'm going to talk you through how to install everything. Okay, so first things first, you're going to want to go down in the description. There is going to be a download link to download a Megapack. Now, this Megapack that I have here is the current version. If there's any issues encountered, or if there are updates to the file, this file will be updated, and as a result of that, there will be a slightly different naming convention for the file you download. But here we have a .rar file, which is a bundled up file of everything you're going to need, and you're going to just want to hit download. I know, revolutionary, and you might get this warning as well about the fact it's too large to be scanned for viruses. Just as a warning, this file is 5 gigabytes, there or thereabouts in size, so if you are on a slower internet speed, it's going to take a couple of minutes to download. Anyway, once that file has downloaded, it's going to be in your downloads folder on your PC. You can see here we have Japan Megapack May, the in brackets free, is because this is my 4th time recording this video and downloading this file. Please don't ask. Now, as I already mentioned, this file is a .rar file. If you're not familiar with these files or .zips, there'll be a link to a WinRAR guide down below, but assuming you have 7-zip or some kind of other unarchiving software, you're going to be able to extract this file, and we are going to extract it to Japan Megapack in brackets free. This is going to take a couple of minutes. Essentially, we are unbundling all the files that we've just downloaded. So now that we have extracted the .rar file and we have a nice folder with the contents of everything we've downloaded, we can make sure it's all here, and once we've done that, we can then go back to downloads and just delete the .rar file. As I mentioned, it's about 5 gigabytes in size. You might want to save a little bit of file space. So within this downloaded file that we have just picked up, you can see we have instructions, which you can alternatively follow as opposed to doing this video. There is a Steam Apps and Football Manager 2024 folder in here too. To start things, we're going to go to this Football Manager 2024 file, and you'll see there are 3 folders in here: ads, editor data, and graphics. We are going to copy all of these. And having copied those files, we are going to navigate to our Football Manager folder. Now, it's crucial to mention on PC, there are 2 different folders for Football Manager. There is one where all your user data is stored, such as custom graphics, your save games, any other files you save in Football Manager. And then there's the actual install of the game itself. To start things, we are going to the user data folder. This is found within users, your Windows username, Jack, Documents, Sports Interactive, then Football Manager 2024. I know I'm going to be asked this question. No, you can't use this on any other version of Football Manager. It won't work. Sorry. If you are playing on Mac, worth noting this will be in a slightly different location. I'll have a kind of exact location down in the description. So now we're in our Football Manager user data folder. An easy way to check to make sure you're in the right place is to go to the games folder. And if you have save games in here, .fm files, which look like your Football Manager save files, you are in the right place. So we are going to take those 3 folders within the Megapack download, ads, editor data, and graphics, and we are simply going to paste them over here in our documents folder. This will take a couple of minutes to do. The reason for that primarily is within the graphics folder here, you can see that we have all the different kits for different Japanese football teams. There are some new ad board pictures, which I'm not going to cover right now, but you'll be able to have them in your Football Manager game. We also have a face pack that features primarily players in the Kanto lower leagues. That is where I am managing in my YouTube save game. Hence the fact we've got this little add-on face pack that adds a whole lot of faces from that division. We also have Japanese Japanese football stadium. So if you're using the WTCS skin, which of course is my skin that I use, link down below, you'll be able to have all these different beautiful stadium pictures in your Football Manager as well. Like I said, it might take a couple of minutes for these files to copy over to your user data folder, but once they're here, you should hopefully within graphics have all those different graphics files that I just looked at. You'll also have a new folder called ads, and also within editor data, you'll now have a whole load of editor data files. Need to give a few thank yous. Firstly to Dave for all his different files that add a bit more realism to Football Manager, sort out SI for their real name fixes, and as you can see here, we also have a whole host of files adding various leagues around, well, Asian football. Shout out to all those original creators. They helped just make this already really fleshed out Japanese database that a little bit more expanded by adding details in for the other leagues around us. Okay, so now that those 3 folders have been copied over and we've confirmed those files have been moved over, we are done with that portion of modding the game. Now comes the slightly more complicated step. Within our Steam apps folder of the downloaded Megapack here, you can see we have a folder called Common, Football Manager, Data, and then there are 2 different folders here, Database and Sim Match Viewer Uncompressed. These look daunting. They are a little bit daunting. I'm going to make it a little less scary. So those modifications we've made so far were to our Football Manager user-generated files. Files which are used by Football Manager and created when you play the game. We're now going to be modifying our Football Manager installation. To do that, you are going to want to come to Steam and go to Library. From here, locate Football Manager, right-click, Manage, Browse local files. This is going to open up this folder here. Now, if you are playing on Epic Games or the Windows Store, I don't own those copies of the game to actually show you where exactly this is located, but somewhere on your PC there is a Football Manager folder that will have a folder within it called Data. If you find that folder, you're in the right place. So once you have located your Football Manager install location, you're going to want to go within the data folder. In here, you'll see folders such as database, DLC, game. This means you're in the right place. The first thing we're going to do is take the SI Match Viewer _ uncompressed folder, and we are simply going to paste this within the data folder location. This is the larger of the files that we are going to copy over here. The reason for that is this includes all the different animated ad boards for around the world of football. Doesn't just include ones in Japan, so if you go on to play a load of other save games, this will add some new ad boards into your Football Manager. Now this next step is very, very important for this install guide. If you don't do this correctly, you will have an issue that looks something like this when you launch into Football Manager. Where Japan should be, it will just be missing and you'll just see loads of required team messages. So if you see this issue, you did this next step incorrectly, we've now got to change some hard-coded aspects of Football Manager. So of course, we just copied across the SI Match Viewer _ uncompressed folder from our download. Our next thing that we need to do is change some of the hard-coded aspects of Football Manager. So we just follow the location on the left, which is our game install location, and on the right, which is the download, and go within database. You'll see there is a folder called DB, and then there is a folder called 2430. This represents the current version of the game that we're on, which is 24.3. These other folder kind of names that you can see here within your Football Manager install do not matter. They are old versions of the game. Within the 2430 folder here, you'll see we have DBC, EDT, and LNC folders. Now, very important, before we copy these over, delete them. Select them within your Football Manager install location and hit delete, and then take the 3 downloaded folders, which are found within, of course, that very long, winded location, the DBC, EDT, and LNC downloaded files, and copy them in. Make sure that they are copied over correctly. Like I said, if you don't do this step correctly, you will have issues when you come to set up your game in Football Manager. So with those hard-coded changes copied over, we are now ready to launch Football Manager, and if you followed all the steps that I've just shown you, the game will now just work. So just as I launch into Football Manager, once you've edited the game install folders, I recommend restarting the game. That is very, very important, or you may run into some issues. Okay, so now the Football Manager's loaded, we are going to start a new game. We are going to select Career, of course, and you'll note in the top right, the database. Very important here, this is set to 24.3.0, and then below that, you will see the editor data files. Now, if you've installed the editor data kind of database folders into the right location, you'll see all these new wonderful files active. There are 59 of them included within the pack. If you've already downloaded some past editor data files, make sure they are not selected and not enabled when you come to start a save game. In Football Manager, the Japanese season is locked to only be able to be started at the start of the 2023 season, which of course is now over a year ago. Using this database and modified setup, you are going to be able to start with the Football Manager season for 2024 in Japan. That includes all the latest player transfers within Japan, all the promotion and relegated kind of clubs included as well, and essentially gives you an experience within Japan you cannot get in the base game. So make sure that you've got those 59 files active and enabled. If they're not showing up here, you've not installed them in the right place. We are now going to hit confirm, and then when it comes to choose game mode, very important here, you don't go original. You don't want to be original here. You want to be real world. Like I said, very important. The reason for that is it's going to include all the future transfers and movements of players within Japan, which is kind of important with this update taking you forward to the 2024 season. From there, we are going to click Advanced Setup and set up the save game however you want. If you're wondering, Jack, what settings are you using for your version of the save game? I can show you them right here because I've got them already saved and set up. So I've got down to the Regional Leagues Division 2 within Japan selected. I recommend having at least that division selected. If you're going to be managing in the lower leagues, you could include the prefecture leagues as well, although that's for the super hardcore players. I'm not that hardcore. On top of that, you can see I've got a selection of the leagues added in the game that are included as part of this download pack. Like I mentioned, there's a load of new countries added to the game that are going to enable you to have a more fulfilling Asian football experience. All the teams in the Middle East like Qatar, Saudi Arabia, fully simulated using these files, and also nations like Thailand, South Korea included as well. Somewhat important because with the Asian Champions League, there is a kind of geographical split where the competition has an eastern and western half of the competition. Anyway, in terms of other settings, where the player count here is in the top right, I have advanced settings done. And in terms of the settings that I have, my database is set to large. And then within here, where it says continents, I've added Asia as an option and then ticked to have the players from top division clubs and continental reputation in the game. And on top of that, within the nation select section here, I've selected Japan. Within Japan here, I recommend just having all of these boxes ticked. Essentially, any Japanese player that exists within the entire Football Manager database will be loaded up when you start a save game. When it comes to these settings along the bottom, you can kind of do whatever you want, but one that I would recommend having active, especially if you're going to be delving right down into the lower leagues of Japan, is add players to playable teams. That just ensures that any teams that don't have fully fleshed out rosters will at least be able to field a team of 11 real generated players, as opposed to those grey players that you occasionally see in Football Manager. And in terms of start date, I am starting in mid-January. Worth noting, the actual league season doesn't start until March, April time within Japan, depending on the league that you're in. Like I mentioned, within this database setup, we are able to start in 2024. That is not possible in the base game. Anyway, the game is going to start in January 2024 in Japan. We are going to hit start, and now the game is going to set itself up. And after a couple of minutes of loading, we are now here in Football Manager, ready to start our lower league Japan adventure. Like I mentioned, in my current save game, I am managing the mighty, we'll say that loosely, Tokyo 23. If I just set up a save game with them, you can see in the background we have the 3D kits as well included in the picture frames, because as part of the kit pack, you do get the 3D kits as well as the ones that appear in game, as you can see here. In terms of the logo pack, I'm using other graphics that aren't included in the download. There is links to them down in the description as always. I am basically using the normal ones that you see within my save game. And like I mentioned, if you want to get your game looking exactly like mine, you're going to want to download the latest version of WTCS free. You'll know stuff's installed correctly if you have the stadium picture here, kits installed, and also your players at Tokyo 23, such as Tomoya Sawa here, have beautiful faces. Now, I have got to give a massive shout out to for the work that he has done on this database, alongside a number of other contributors and people who have offered up their own files to be included as part of this pack. I think that this is the best way to manage in Japan. Not only do you get the 2024 season update, but the ability to manage in the JFL, which is the 4th tier, And of course, the fifth tier, which I think is where everyone wants to manage, where there are over 130 teams competing for 2 promotion spots. Yeah, I mean, this is the Ultimate Football Manager Challenge. I really recommend giving it a go. Fully appreciate that it's not the most simple thing to install due to all the hard coding limitations in Football Manager that kind of have to be circumnavigated, but I think the end result truly is one of the most fun, rewarding, and challenging save games that anyone can do in Football Manager. This database truly is mind-boggling. It adds in all the high school and university teams into Japan, which are imperative for how the Japanese football system in real life operates. In this save game here, I'm actually in the 2029 season, where you can kind of see how things have shaped up. Aomori Yamada High School are still the best high school in Japan. If you don't know, they're the current national champions. And like I also mentioned, the whole university system is also included within the game. I believe currently you can't manage as the university teams. Maybe that is something we will look to change down the line, but the fact that you can fully be involved in the university league system of Japan in Football Manager, sign players from university teams, is such a cool thing. And like I already mentioned, within football matches themselves, you'll also get all the custom ad boards, which for Japan means you get all these really cool Japanese league kind of boards around the edge. Worth noting, as you move up through the leagues, these will change in correspondence with the real league sponsors, which is a really cool addition. Just add that little bit more flair to your Football Manager save game. Yeah, I don't know about anyone else. It feels more lore authentic, doesn't it, to have the actual Japanese adverts around the edge. If you are having any issues when it comes to downloading and installing these files, I recommend re-watching the video or maybe just checking out the README written instructions if you're struggling to follow along with the video that are included as part of the download. If you're still struggling, check out the Discord link down below. We have an FM help channel where members of my community might be able to help you get things set up. This database has been an absolutely insane project. Azza and the rest of the contributors involved in it deserve a load of love and respect. Thank you so much for their work. Thank you for watching this video. Enjoy your save game in Japan. And well, I'll be back on Monday for episode number 5 of Tokyo Rising. I hope to see you guys then. I'm out.